Hi, it's May 23rd here at Manchester Country Club. My name is Bob Stearns. I'm here with Fred Auletta, and we're going to spend a few minutes talking about the subject of divot repair. And here at Manchester Country Club, we have a couple of different ways to take care of the golf course, but just a little background on this first. Fred, you and I grew up playing golf. When did you learn how to repair a divot?
Well, following my father around the golf course, it was virtually mandatory, but became part of the tradition of golf that when you took a swing with an iron or a wood and you dug up the grass, you went back and you repaired that by taking the divot and putting it back, or in certain cases, we didn't have the sand and seed back then, you kind of banged down the sides of the divot so that it would be fine for if anyone else hit their shot in that area.
Right, I learned as a caddy, part of my job as a caddy was to replace the player's divot, so I kind of learned that always replace the divot. If I didn't replace a divot, I was certainly told that you should go back and replace the divot. So as a caddy, we always learned that we were to take care of the golf course and leave the golf course as we found it. So that included not only divot repair, but also ball mark repair. It would also include raking of the sand traps and various other ways that you take care of the golf course. So as a rule, the rule was you left the golf course as you found it. So if we get in a situation where we take a divot, then we need to repair the divot. So Fred, what are the two ways we repair divots here at Manchester Country Club?
Well, the first one is that if you take a pretty good pelt out, which my partner here to my left does most often with an iron, you take that pelt, if you will, you'll take the divot and put it back. And putting it back means you put it back the way it should fit back into the divot, not just throw it back in there. You put it back in, you stamp down on the sides and make it look like no one hit a shot there. The second way is the way I usually make a divot, which is more of a scrape. I will take up some grass. It looks pretty much like maybe a 2 or 3 inch swath out. And in that, it's pretty hard to put the divot back. It kind of fragments itself. And in those situations, we have available on the golf carts and also for walkers is to take some sand and seed mix and spread it into the divot and tamp it down, and grass will grow back. We might mention another thing that down in the southern climes, we can talk about that. In the southern climes down in Florida and South Carolina, in those areas, they use different grass than we do. We use cool weather grasses here, which is bent grass predominantly, and down in the southern climes they use different varieties of Bermuda. And Bermuda grass roots actually grow kind of toward each other, and they don't use sand and seed there. They use just sand, and over time the divot will fill itself in. You never put a divot back in the southern climates because it will never grow back because of the way the roots grow. But here in the northern climate with the bent grass, the roots grow obviously from the bottom up.
Okay, Fred, whose responsibility is it to repair divots?
It's all of our responsibility to repair divots. It's not just the maintenance crews on the golf course. It is every one of us. We are the custodians of the golf course. If you just remember that, that's perfect.
Correct. So it's the player's responsibility to repair their own divot. Occasionally we run into a situation, Fred, you and I are out playing, and we see a fresh divot, and we see the grass part of it a few feet ahead. And nobody's made an effort to repair that. Any idea why that happens? Can you speculate on that?
Just not knowing. I mean, just a simple explanation. I think people think that someone else will either do it, right, or they just don't know whether they should put it back.
Yeah. So the fact is, we do run into that occasionally on the golf course, and so if you're out playing and you see that sort of activity take place, it's really, as a fellow player, it's our responsibility to share that information and insight with players who may be new to the game or not understand that it's the player's responsibility to take care of the turf when they dig it up. So it's everybody's effort needs to go into this to try and help our golf course remain in good shape. So we're going to what we're going to do right now, real briefly, is I'm going to take a divot here, or why don't you take a divot, Fred? Because
you
I have.
Take the big divots.
You can. Well.
You want me to take the big divot?
Yeah, Fred. Can you take a big divot?
I'll try
Okay.
to
So
take
no, let's hit it. Don't hit Veronica.
No, I'm not gonna
Okay.
hit- I'm not
So.
gonna hit Veronica.
All right. Great. Oh, that was a good one. That was a little left.
No, that's where I was aiming.
You're a little. I think he was a little over the top on that, but we'll go with this divot. Okay. So. If you could can you zero in on this a little bit? That's a nice big divot. We run into something like this. The best course of action is to replace the divot. And Fred's going to show you how that goes in there. This is like putting the last piece in the puzzle also. We definitely want to put the piece of turf back in the same manner that it came out. If we put it in backwards or sideways, it will have less of a tendency to grow in. So take a second and just make sure that you put it in properly in the right angle that it came out. Again, sometimes we'll see divots that have come out of somebody's put them back in, and then at some point they're dragged out by the mower and so forth. Those are generally divots that are put in incorrectly. That is, they're put in backwards. And so those have a tendency not to fit in that spot. And so you can see that Fred tamped that down. Now this area is going to regrow properly. This is like he was never here, almost. It's kind of deep. So when we have we also have equipped here the sand and seed containers are on the golf carts, and the tubes are available to walkers. Could you take a little more shallow divot?
We will try.
Try. Watch out. Okay. No, that wasn't. Okay. So here's a situation where we've got a small mark. That's not going to require much of a repair. But we could, if we wanted to, put a little sand and seed in here. That would, and then just spread it around. Okay? And that'll grow in. So that'll help repair the golf course more quickly. So the bottom line is, every time we take a divot, shallow, deep, we want to replace those divots. That'll keep the golf course in good shape. Any final comments, Fred?
No, but just everyone, please think of yourself as the custodian of the course. And when you see even divots that you have not created, stop and just fill them in with the sand and seed. You know, keep the golf course as beautiful as it is.
Okay, thank you very much.